Welcome everybody to this week's update from the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. My name is Kevin Martin and I'm here with Jennifer Phillips-Russo. We wanted to talk to you a little bit about where we're at in the season and what kind of resources we have this time of year. So you can kind of check out where we're at in the season or where you're at in the season relative to everybody else around New York State. Jennifer?
Right. Thanks, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. So I just want to tell you about an electronic newsletter that's put out, and it's done weekly from Veraison to Harvest, and it's actually called Veraison to Harvest. It's put out through CALS or Cornell's Agritech through the Viticulture and Enology program. It's headed by Tim Martinson, and all of the Cornell specialists, viticulture specialists across the state actually input and sample berries weekly, send them in to the lab, and then they tell us about the juice soluble solids and where we are. And I just wanted to give you a quick tour in case you haven't seen it. This is not a new project, but it's something, a resource that's out there for you. And I'm going to share my screen 1 second. I haven't had enough coffee today, so I see you're drinking it and I'm a little jealous.
Absolutely. Just here listening and enjoying my coffee.
So here's the website. It's at grapesandwines.cals.cornell.edu, and it's the Veraison to Harvest newsletter. So throughout the state, we have the Lake Erie region, which you are a part of. There's also the Finger Lakes region, the Hudson Valley region, and Long Island. And then Tim Martinson handles all of New York State. We all go out and do like we told you before in previous podcasts and in crop updates, how to take your sampling for your juice soluble solids or your sugars or your bricks, whatever terminology you use. And you're going to randomly select 100 berries throughout the entire canopy from the top of the cluster, the middle of the cluster, and the bottom of the cluster. Then we ship them off overnight and they smash them up and do all of the bricks analysis on it. And it is put in a table in this Veraison to Harvest newsletter. We are going to be sending this out to you as well. I think in the past you may have received an email and then I just want to make sure you get it. So I'm going to send it out as well to make sure. You might get duplicates. I apologize for that. But it is some really good information included in there. For instance, here is what it looked like for September 4th of this year. You can see the screen, right, Kevin?
I can.
Okay.
I see you forgot to arm your security system last night.
Yes, I did. So it goes through Veraison to Harvest and all around the state. So Tim Martinson does statewide, Alice Wise, Long Island. Then we go through Dr. Jim Myers is in the Hudson Valley, Hans Walter Peterson is in the Finger Lakes, and I here in the Lake Erie region. In this particular, I almost said episode, in this particular newsletter, which was number 2 for this season, Terry Bates put up his Concord berry curve. And he had mentioned that berry weights in this area are actually catching up to the 21-year average. However, the juice soluble solids are running about a week ahead of time. And I think if you've been testing your own blocks, you would notice that as well. And they are rapidly increasing.
What day was that data gathered?
This data here,
yes.
When Terry, I'm not sure when Terry, we do them on Mondays. Normally
Okay.
berry curve is done on Mondays at Claro. So that was,
yeah, that was impressive. I had some growers concerned a little bit, if you scroll down to that bricks accumulation, with the amount of rain that we got, not necessarily expecting the curve to have quite that steep of a slope all the way up to 13 bricks in the second week. Or is that the first week?
Well, I think this Friday is actually 20 days after.
Right. So there was some concern that, while the curve's going to catch up, as it did, you can see that how that between those 2 last readings, it went from slightly behind to completely caught up on the 21-year mean. But it looks like so far, at least, probably because we're so early in the season, that hasn't slowed down soluble solid accumulation.
And I have heard through industry representatives who are testing constantly that they were gaining about a brick every 3 days with this really nice warm weather that we had been having. continuing on with what's included in here. Different articles on, there's a Concord Planning and Cornell Agritech that they were testing for the not enough coffee. Grapevine leaf roll disease impacts. And I don't want to sit here and read it through you. I just want to show that there's a lot of information out here. And then here's the fruit composition report. This is what we put in. We sample throughout the entire region, and even in Niagara County, they send in some samples as well. But as you're looking through it, it'll tell you where it had been sampled. Like here's Concord, Lake Erie. On 8/31, this information was taken. Remember, we sample on a Monday, overnight it. It gets there on Tuesday, and then we get the information back on Thursday to publish. So, there's that. There was one more thing I wanted to show you. And of course, this always happens that it's hidden underneath my bar.
Yeah, I like to think this is as much for the processors, as particularly wineries, as it is for the growers. It might seem strange, I think, to a lot of our growers because we have a good idea, a relatively good idea of where we're at in the season and when we should harvest. That's a big struggle in other regions. When you're operating in a vacuum and you only have your data and the winery's trying to make sense of it, you know, they start to do all sorts of crazy things like use growing degree days to pick their harvest date. And it's like, well, why don't you just test your bricks and acid and use that to pick your harvest date? And it's just a lack of resources to do something like that in a reliable way. So some of this information, some of it might seem a little obvious to you. I actually hope it kind of does, because I hope you went out and took a lot of readings yourself. But certainly know that I think there's value in understanding where the rest of the region is and where the state is. That's just kind of my 2 cents about veraison to harvest. It's a really difficult problem in other regions that we don't have to deal with because we have things like this.
I think it's a great resource to have too.
So when do you think, you know, like I said, a lot of the value here is trying to figure out when we're going to harvest, just in terms of logistics planning for grape growers. So what is that starting to wrap up and look like as we get closer for our region and our major varieties? I know obviously some of the early varieties are already at the plant.
So I spoke with one of my producers who mainly deals in vinifera and hybrids. And I asked, so what's going on? He goes, no, the question is what isn't coming in right now, what isn't being harvested, because that list is much shorter. And when we talk about Concord and Niagara, well, I don't want to say rumor, I heard it from a producer that Concords were looking to bring in this area on the 20th or 21st of September to start harvest, and Niagara's are the 14th of September. And I did speak to a grower just this morning who actually just harvested all their Niagaras. So that's what it looks like here.
Were those Niagaras harvested for juice or for wine? Do you know?
You know, he didn't go into detail. My assumption it's for wine, knowing who that grower is.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say that seems early. Like you probably might even miss out on some of the Niagara character, which probably would be a good thing if it's for wine. But like you said, the 14th, it sounds like
14th is what I was told for beginning of the harvest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and obviously, you know, I think more sampling will happen and we'll figure out what that actual date is as it comes. But it's nice to know, especially in a year like this, ahead of time when it might be. Most of what I've been hearing is a fairly short harvest period because of the frost damage. I don't know if you've been hearing the same thing from other processors, Jen, but.
No, actually I haven't. I've been putting fingers out and just trickling things back in. So plus I think the long weekend.
Yeah, I think 4 to 5 weeks will probably do it. So, you know, you might be looking at the 3rd week of September, kind of wrapping up rather than the 4th week of September or the 1st week of November. And some processors will probably be done even earlier than that, some of the smaller ones. So it should be a quick harvest. I would imagine Constellation will be done before you know it.
So plan your vacation now, your fall getaway?
Well, yeah. Hopefully, I always like to recommend that growers harvest for everybody and kind of spread their risk around. It's nice to have more than one buyer when when different macroeconomic effects have different impacts on different processors. And the other thing it allows you to do, if particularly if you're younger, is to do a lot of custom harvesting, because it allows you to extend your season out. If you're harvesting, early Concord for wine and then late Concord for juice, usually a lot of growers, I think most processors try to stay at 5 weeks, and a lot of growers harvest Concords for 7 weeks. So you get 2 extra weeks to harvest if you have diversified contracts or customers that diversify your contracts. It does create a lot of headaches. There's certainly an advantage during harvest to just harvesting for one processor every day. But if you can master the logistics of it, I think you can make more money.
Nice. It's almost 2 podcasts in one.
It is. We got a little distracted there, but I have had a lot of coffee today. So the wheels are spinning too fast.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I am doing site visits if you need me. I'm heading out this afternoon to take a look at somebody's vines that have a little leaf scorch on them. So give us a call, email us. We are available even though the building might be closed.
Thank you for joining us. Good luck with your harvest in progress. Like I said, I know a lot of growers have already started. Probably not the most stressful time of year yet, but as you get there, good luck with the really busy time in the next week or two, depending on who you're harvesting for. And we will continue to do this probably every week through harvest. Hopefully get a chance to view it or listen to it maybe in the tractor. So we will see you next week with another topic, and thank you for joining us. And just like Jen said, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us in your normal way. Thanks a lot.
Have a great day.